There have been several articles to come out about student protests over the Berklee College of Music's adoption of generative AI in songwriting classes, so I talked to some students and faculty to figure out exactly what's going on over there at my alma mater. And what I found was genuinely shocking, including relationships between Berklee's president and the same Cambridge-based venture capital that funds Suno. This one's spicy. I'm getting over a cold, so tea today instead of coffee, but yeah.
The entire reason that we're going to this school is to perfect our craft. These tools are designed to make it so that we will never have to do that. So it completely makes going to school pointless.
The student backlash was first prompted because of a class taught by songwriting professor Ben Camp called Bots, Beats, AI, and the Future of Songwriting, where students use the generative AI program Suno to assist in their compositions. Ben has previously gone viral for saying that Suno is better than 80% of his students, which is honestly a bit of a weird comment from a professor whose job is presumably to teach the students how to be better. Kind of a weird cell phone, to be honest. This comment makes a lot more sense, however, when you consider the fact that Ben Camp is also a paid advisor for Suno. Now, Suno, of course, is the venture capital-funded generative AI company led by TechBro CEO Mikey Schulman, who wants to turn music into a pay-for-play video game.
And if you make music interactive and you make music engaging, people will pay for it like they pay for video games. To me, it seems like just crazy that music should not be as engaging as Fortnite.
To do this, Suno uses AI as a means of wealth extraction. They have trained their models by scraping every musical recording on the internet without permission or licensing.
We know that there are some copyrighted works in our training data.
And sell people back the result as a subscription service.
People will pay for it like they pay for video games.
The fact that Ben Camp, Suno advisor, teaches a class at Berklee called Stealing from the Masters is honestly a bit on the nose. One of Suno's early investors and current board member is Matrix Partners Antonio Rodriguez, who thinks that the lack of licensing and attribution is an explicit feature of the company. Quote, "Honestly, if we had deals with labels when this company got started, I probably wouldn't have invested in it. I think that they needed to make this product without the constraints." As one Berklee student pointed out to me, the students in this AI songwriting class almost certainly are violating Berklee's own code of conduct with regards to plagiarism when they use Suno. Any output of the technology is unattributable to the sources it was trained on by design, and that is the reason why investors invested in it. Berklee does not see this plagiarism as a problem. In fact, Berklee is perfectly willing to partner with Suno in the upcoming AIMS conference as an artist sponsor. But this relationship between Berklee and Suno goes deeper than just a conference sponsor and a professor. You see, in 2025, Jim Lucchese was named the new president of Berklee. He is the former CEO of the Echo Nest, a Cambridge-based music data firm that was acquired by Spotify in 2014. In 2010, under Jim Lucchese as CEO, the Echo Nest had institutional investment from Cambridge-based Matrix Partners, specifically from Antonio Rodriguez, the same licensing-hating VC that would later invest in Suno. Antonio Rodriguez would also end up serving as a board member under Jim Lucchese, making sure the company managed to skirt licensing headaches that make it tough for music streaming sites to turn a profit.
And copyright laws just hasn't caught up with technology that's out there, and that's constantly evolving. I'm a copyright lawyer and very well aware of the fact that a lot of the applications that we enable raise open copyright questions.
So clearly there's this very cozy relationship between the new administration of the Berklee College of Music, a venture capitalist named Antonio Rodriguez, and the company Suno, a relationship based on companies built to skirt copyright law. Now, if there's any doubt where the sentiments of the administration at the Berklee College of Music lie, I have reports from students who attended an office hour of the president on April 2nd to voice their concerns about generative AI. I have confirmation from several students who were in attendance at that meeting that Berklee President Jim Lucchese compared efforts to curtail generative AI to book burnings. Now, this is maybe a bit concerning about the president of a major music school being so tied to the tech world. But, let's do the whole steel man thing. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe this tech, Suno, is advantageous for musicians, and that's why it's being taught at music school, whose job is presumably to prepare musicians with the exact tools that they need to survive in the real world of music. Berklee apparently thinks that students graduating from the Berklee College of Music are best served being exposed to and using generative AI tools like Suno.
We all know this place has always been about getting the gig. We've got to make sure that Berklee is the best investment our students ever make in living a creative life on their own terms, because it's going to be the greatest investment that they make.
There are a million issues with this that I feel like Berklee has not addressed. I made an 1.5-hour documentary going into a lot of the details about why I think generative AI companies like Suno are very bad news. But I don't want to rehash any of the arguments about generative AI here, because I think there are 4 big problems with this that Berklee needs to address, even if you are a big advocate for generative AI. Even if you are very pro AI, there are some problems here for you, Berklee. Problem number 1, branding. Now, according to the CEO of Suno, again, the company that Berklee has partnered with, nobody really likes to make music.
It's not really enjoyable to make music now. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of practice. You need to get really good at an instrument or really good at a piece of production software. I think the majority of people don't enjoy the majority of the time they spend making music.
Berklee better hope that that's not true, because its business model, as well as any music school, is based on the idea that people like to make music. In fact, they like it so much that they're willing to spend a lot of money to learn how to do it better. So you have to sell the study of generative AI music, or at least an institution that abets it, as somehow an elite education. And that is a branding problem, because the vast majority of people's exposure to AI music is either slop that they themselves generate without the need of a Berklee education, or generally low-effort memes turning texts into songs.
Do you have any money on Cash App? I'm hungry.
Like, it's all funny, and you might be super into all of this stuff, but is it worth the tuition? As Kateria Doria points out, we're quickly seeing how AI-generated media functions in the marketing space.
Generative AI is being pushed to poor people, while rich people are making it super duper clear that they are not touching it.
It speaks to class, first and foremost. Coke is for the people, and so Coke commercials use AI. Porsche, however, is for the elite, people who have money to spend. Commercials for Porsche make a big deal of not using AI. Human art is more expensive, it's more prestige. You could say it's more elitist. Porsche is learning how to play in a symphony, or learning how to write like Duke Ellington, or play like Stevie Wonder. Coke is making memes. So if you're trying to charge Porsche prices, but not teaching people how to make Porsche products, but rather Coke products, that's a branding issue. By branding yourself with Suno, with generative AI, you are making a very conscious decision about your brand, Berklee College of Music.
It's not really enjoyable to make music now.
And the value proposition for your tuition fades until there are aesthetic triumphs in the AI music space that rise beyond the Charlie Kirk song, which is hilarious, and I honestly think that it is the piece of AI music that is the most important so far. It is a very important cultural artifact, and if Berklee had any balls, it would teach the Charlie Kirk song, but it doesn't, so... Anyway, problem number 2. Berklee is always out of touch. If you read the course syllabus for this controversial course that Ben Camp teaches, you'll read this, quote, "We'll critically examine how AI affects the very essence of creativity, from the rise of voice cloning to the potential of deepfakes, and explore the cutting-edge technologies of XR, Web3, blockchain, and the metaverse." The metaverse. Yes, a full month after it was announced that the metaverse is closing, Berklee is still teaching that Mark Zuckerberg's corporate hellscape is the future of the music industry.
Future of the music industry? I would say that application developers are a critical part of the future of the music industry.
This course description reads less like the current state of the industry and more like a generally pathetic view of what tech bros think is the industry standard and the future. You know what actual technology I would recommend students master before graduating college if they want to have a head start in the real world? In-ear monitors. I was just playing a festival in Zhoushan, China, where you had all of these international bands and the local tech guys talking about in-ear monitor rigs.
Everybody's checking out each other's in-ear rigs. It's great.
This stuff is everywhere and is quickly becoming expected that you understand how this stuff works. If Berklee was serious about providing technical training for musicians as they enter the real world, they'd be offering classes in this sort of thing. But instead, it's the blockchain and the metaverse.
We want AI to be taught at Berklee, but not using the AI. We want to be taught about the legality, the ethics, so that we're prepared to deal with it head on when we leave Berklee. But that doesn't need to include generate a song with Drake's voice or whatever was the literal headline, the caption of that class.
So editor Adam here. Initially when I filmed this video, by the way, my voice feeling much better. Thank you. Initially, when I filmed this video, I was unable to corroborate what Izzy was talking about when they said that this class was advertised as letting students use Drake's voice in projects. And yet I found the poster that they were referring to, and I just had to share it with you guys because this is still up there on the Berklee Songwriting Instagram, featuring some truly atrocious AI art. And yes, indeed, it says that students will learn to use realistic voice cloning and hear Drake or Grimes feature on their tracks, which is just a very strange thing for a music school to teach. The deep faking of celebrity likenesses. Weird. The poster also says that students will create an artist avatar and explore the world of metaverse concerts. Not to belabor the point, but metaverse was cringe when it was around, and it's dead. And yet Berklee is still teaching this, which is just pathetic. Problem number 3. Conflation of a broader AI music community and Suno with AI music. I asked the head of the Berklee Emerging Artist Technology Lab, Mark Ethier, for a comment for this video, and he graciously responded, quote, Berklee has a responsibility to prepare our students to navigate technologies impacting their creative industries. And our job as Berklee is to help students understand what those tools can do, where they raise legal, ethical, and creative concerns, and how to make informed choices for themselves as artists. Unquote. I fully realize that there are other tools that people put under the AI music umbrella that are not Suno, like, for example, stem separation or timbre transfer, or even, ethically trained generative models. Berklee teaches these tools. They have classes in these tools. Mark Ethier, in fact, was a co-founder of Isotope, which has been using machine learning in its plugins for quite some time. I think Isotope's cool. I think there are many ethical uses of machine learning in music technology. No problem there for me. However, if AI music meant tools like Isotope, there wouldn't be any student backlash. There are very important legal, ethical, and creative differences between tools like Isotope and VC-funded plagiarism machines like Suno. And those differences are often obfuscated to sane wash Suno. Like, you see, Suno's just a tool like Isotope. Like, it's totally fine. Conflating the two, however, like Berklee seems to have done, is disastrous for people in the AI music community who do not want to be associated with Suno and yet now have to answer for the sins of Mikey Schulman.
It's not really enjoyable to make music now.
There was a conference earlier this year at Indiana University in Bloomington called Algorithms, where lawyers, industry leaders, and academics, and yours truly, discuss topics in AI music related to copyright, ownership, artistry, and technology. Marcus Lawrence, who is very pro-AI, described the conference in the AI music blog Zinstrel. Quote, it was clear from the many panels, debates, and side conversations, even ones unabashedly pro-AI music, that Suno has become synonymous with AI music generally. And that's a problem. Lawyer John Strom makes an interesting argument. He says that Suno is bad for AI music. Even if you're pro-AI music, you can't deny the fact that Suno has radicalized a generation of musicians and a general listening public against the very idea of AI music. Quote, Suno is bad for the future of AI music because it blew its entrance with tens of millions of slop tracks on services. In addition to the competitive releases such as Monet and Breaking Rust, you'd expect to have something break out. Promoters of AI music have put in the effort. They took a big bet, spent a lot of money, and failed. Now the majority of people not only hate AI music, they hate the very idea of AI music. My big recommendation in the music tech space for people who are not associated with Suno is to rebrand entirely. Don't call what you do AI music. Call it something else, machine learning something. Because in many spaces, just saying the word AI music makes people very upset. Problem number 4. A lot of people just really hate AI music. This should be obvious, and if it isn't obvious to Berklee, this is an example of why I think they're out of touch. But the zeitgeist is not kind to AI musicians. It's pretty obvious that young people are not on board. Don't take it from me. I'm washed millennial unk here. But Gen Z musician creators like Gabby Bell have been making videos with millions and millions of views, tearing into AI and music. And the responses have been uniformly supportive. And when you've radicalized the youth so much that Gen Alpha is now using the word AI to mean shitty, you're done. You've lost the culture war for at least a couple generations. Remember, Berklee, you're trying to sell a Porsche and you're delivering Coke. Now, I'm not naive. I know that AI is going to change the music industry in pretty profound ways, but I think Berklee shouldn't be naive either. In my experience, the vast majority of the working musicians and communities that I serve and that I am a part of are very, very anti-AI. I am a Berklee alumni, and these are the communities that Berklee has typically siphoned off its graduates into. So, Berklee, you're just preparing your students to get tarred and feathered.
So I'm going to end this video by saying a couple things. The first is that because I've taken this very anti-commercial generative AI stance, people will often call me a Luddite or somehow anti-technology, anti-progress, saying that I am behind the times. And to them I say, I've been making videos and using machine learning tools in music for a lot longer than Suno has been around. 6 years ago, I made a video about the Bach AI doodle. I also made a video about the Google Magenta timbre transfer project that was very fun to play around with. I even did a collaboration with DataBots where they trained a generative model on my bass playing to create this infinite bass solo radio thing. That was a very fun project. I'm very proud to have been part of it, and I'm a big fan of everything that DataBots does. I was an early adopter and a big advocate for stem separation. I've been using stem separation in my YouTube videos for at least 5 years now. So all that to say, it's very funny to hear somebody who has just started to play around with Suno say that I'm behind the times, because I've been in this space longer than you, man. And so trust me when I say that I don't hate technology. I love exploring new tech and I love learning about new things. I hate small-minded people with money who use technology as a cudgel to enforce their terrible taste on the rest of us.
To me, it seems like just crazy that music should not be as engaging as Fortnite.
I hope that's not what's happening at Berklee College of Music, but historically, Berklee has really missed the mark when it comes to predicting what the future is. You know, back in my time, you know, they also were very excited to be ahead of the curve with everything and taught classes in digital performer and reason and finale. That back then was supposed to be the future of the music industry, and I can safely say that all of my classes in digital performer amounted to basically no real world experience. But I will say that the classes and the things that were unsexy, your ear training, your music theory classes, you know, my technique study with Dave Buddha in the bass department, those were things that served me ultimately the most in my career in music, as the industry has changed quite a bit over the past 15 years.
Higher education at its best is teaching students how to think, how to feel, how to tell the truth, how to observe the difference between fact and fiction, and then take those skills and apply them wherever their career leads.
It's those fundamentals that have ultimately served me in my career. Not what Berklee thinks will get me the gig, but it's those core ideals in opposition to AI that ultimately I think will serve students the best. Be the best musician you can be. And don't bullshit yourself or anybody else around you. To quote Bill Evans, if you take care of the music will take care of you.
Peace.